Hello, everyone. This is David with Let's Talk Theology. Thank you for joining us in the podcast, and thank you for being a part of Let's Talk Theology. We hope you have been enjoying your studies and you have been able to find a community of people that will assist you in your understanding of the Bible, and hopefully they have been able to allow reasonable and peaceful dialogue over the scriptures. So we want to get started on today, and it is Sunday night, and I'm very tired. All right, it's been a full day. I had a wonderful day though. We had a wonderful morning service at my dad's church, and we was able to go to Mullins to celebrate the anniversary service there. So it's been a very full day of fellowship and seeing a lot of wonderful people, and it's just been a blast. But I'm extremely tired, so hopefully you can bear with me through this presentation. And we want to, however, stick with putting out videos every day. That is the goal, to put out something every day, even if it's a few minutes of just conversation or dialogue or presenting points or things to consider. But we're going to continue to study the book of Revelation, and we're going to continue to introduce points that can help us prepare for our actual study of the Bible. And this is the concept that we used whenever we began in Manning. We kind of looked at things that could help us along the way. So when we get into the book, we'll be fairly familiar with the things that we're reading. We won't be like a deer in front of headlights, all right? So there are things you can do to prepare yourself for a study. And for a book like the book of Revelation, it is imperative that you develop study habits that can help you understand this book as it is written, okay? And, I was kind of just, writing out my plans for this particular topic in this particular video. And I came across an article that was written by a New Testament and Greek professor by the name of David Da Silva. I never heard of this professor before, but I really enjoyed the article that I was able to read. And in this article, he pointed out 3 mistakes that he felt were common whenever embracing the book of Revelation. And I too think these mistakes are pretty familiar, and I wanted to kind of bring them up in today's presentation, because in this presentation we're going to be talking about audience relevance. I was looking through one of my cousin's Bibles today, and I kept seeing the phrase audience relevance, relevance. And so I think that's something we could really consider as we enter into this book. And really any book of the Bible, we preach as much as we can, considering the context, the audience, the culture, the circumstances of the people that were in the story and the narrative, and those who are receiving the story or the narrative. It is basic grammar, right? To consider what, when, how, where, and all those essential things. So we want to do the same thing in this particular study. We want to consider what is commonly called audience relevance. When we see what is relevant to the people that is receiving the writing, and why they may have been getting some of the elements of the writing in the way that they were receiving it, okay? So I want to bring to your attention the 3 things that he mentioned in the article that I think is very true, all right? The first thing that he stated was, when people read the book of Revelation, they oftentimes read the book of Revelation as if it is all about us. And I think that is a phenomenon that is found within Western Christianity and American Christianity, where we personalize the Bible so much till it loses its original meaning and its original point and motive for being written. And the same is the case for the book of Revelation, if not more so the case, because we have seen over and over again, regardless of the interpretation that is being displayed, or the perspective that you may share or possess, oftentimes we personalize the book of Revelation so much until it loses its logical meaning. It has no sense of consistency as we read throughout the book, and it begins to not make sense to us. So it loses its reasoning. It loses its ability to be coherent and consistent. And that is simply because we over personalize the book. We make application the first principle of understanding the book, instead of understanding that it is essentially a book of prophecy. It's a pastoral letter in many respects, and it is written toward an immediate problem that people outside of our culture, timing, and life, they were needing this writing to help them in their own lives. So whenever we look at it, it is very dangerous to, as I would say, over personalize the book of Revelation. You don't want to make it all about you until you begin now to avoid and ignore the people who originally received the writing. The second point that he brings out is that the revelation is often read or studied and considered to be all about our future. All right, is to say, we negate the future of those who received the writing in the first place and make it specifically and primarily about our future. All right, and that is again a way of over personalizing the book. Unfortunately, according to what we will read throughout the book of Revelation, it is not really concerned with our future. I know that is a disappointment to many, and then it forces us to kind of question the purpose in even reading the book or understanding it. Well, if we get into it, we will be able to see why it is absolutely imperative that we understand the future of those who were receiving the writing and why this writing was addressing their future so emphatically. But the third thing that he raises is that we read the book of Revelation as being a mysterious code, and it is one that we're in a better position to unlock than anyone else. That is to say, in the modern world, we feel that the book of Revelation is best interpreted by us because for some reason God has allowed a lot of these things to be mysterious to those who came before us, and in our time we have a better chance of if I could say it this way, cracking the code. And that is very dangerous because it seems, and that is very evident by our avoidance of the book, it seems that we are the least qualified to actually understand and really give a proper explanation of the book because we are so far away from the cultural and the essential elements that makes the book understandable. All right, so because we have such a distinctive or such a large time frame from the actual date of the writing, it actually puts us at a disadvantage, puts us in a position where it makes it even harder for us to understand the book as it was written, and even to understand it in a way that makes that comes across as sensible. All right, so we have to understand that we are at a disadvantage, and the only way that we can really and reasonably understand this book is simply by understanding the audience relevance, understanding that there were people before us who got this book. We have to really take off our modern hats and put on our first century hats and understand that this book was written to people that had far more things to face for their religious positions, but it is very practical, as we will see, and it also gives us bits of application that we could use to develop our spiritual lives. All right, so on the next video, we hope to kind of introduce ways to study this book, and that will be primarily by looking at what books of the Bible can we read to prepare for our study and our reading of the book of Revelation, and we'll explain why that is so important in the next video. But our time is up for today. I'm going to try to go and get some rest and prepare for tomorrow, but I want you all to have a great day. I hope that by the time you look at this video, your week will begin with many blessings, and that you will be able to study throughout the week and really gain some understanding, some truth, and some wisdom and knowledge by your studies of the Bible. But again, my time is up and I don't want to hold you too long. So continue to study, continue to pray, and continue to create atmospheres for dialogue and conversation. Until next time, thank you for watching, and God bless.